Because my wife cheated, left, and stated it was pleasant, I divorced her. I did this because she returned and asked for help. For 15 years, my partner and I have been together. We think we married young. It felt appropriate to us, or she was young. We thought our year and a few months of upheaval was enough. We knew we were meant to be together, but recent occurrences make me doubt that. I work for a great firm and run a jewelry company with my brothers that we began from nothing and have made a lot of money, which is impressive. Although conducting business with family might be difficult, it's been a dream for us. We've never argued much as siblings, so your experience may be different. However, my wife established a wonderful cafe where people could read, drink coffee, and eat pastries. She has always loved books and proudly reads. I was irritated by them before meeting her. I am hypocritical. Bite me. I was fascinated by the idea since I was helping her and had paid the rent on her cafe location. Because it's in a posh neighborhood. Expensive, but the firm is profitable, at least there's no more rent, and that made me pleased. I think you need that backdrop. The actual story begins now. She approached me to inform me about this new dude at the cafe, I think in March. She found him appealing. Being comfortable, I found that the two of us could discuss someone's appearance objectively without issue. There was something about her. Kept discussing this weird individual. He probably looked like a macho hero from Smut for Ladies. Yes, she likes such literature. Since romance seems like the corniest relationship, I'll never understand why bookish ladies adore it. She talked about this person for a while, but I have to admit that her vocabulary was similar to that of the frigid, Russian hitman who fell in love with a lady in their apartment building's laundry room. Not a lie. That's from her book, Likes Reading. She said he arrived the next day and had a long talk. Originally from Serbia, he sold cars before moving to the US for a better life, she said. It took time to restore his balance and orientation. His expertise led him to seek jobs at nearby dealerships. Within 10 minutes, I saw that he was tall, blonde, beautiful, well-dressed, and had an accent. He liked fantasy literature, like The Lord of the Rings and American West stories. She constantly discusses herself extensively. It wasn't unusual to have cafe customers with me, but again, flowery verbiage was employed. She looked to be fetishizing him unintentionally. Since he was no longer new to her, she stopped talking about him. But it was clear that he was still a frequent client at her cafe, which made me feel better that he wasn't worth prolonged spills every night. When I visited her cafe one afternoon to give her lunch, I saw a man who fit the description in the corner. He was magnificent, and I knew it was him. Ivan was his name, she said. Things start to get wild here. I asked her what was up. Night, she returned home with a foolish smile. She said Ivan took her home and they spoke about literature. She said that she rejected his date invitation since she was married. She claimed he apologized deeply, grasped my hand, said goodbye, and left. I asked her why she was smiling so much, and she answered it was like a book. That part annoyed me since she seemed to be romanticizing their conversation. I was unaware that he frequented her cafe. They must talk almost daily. She could have told him she was single, but I didn't want to appear insecure. Yes, again, despite my strong opinions, I didn't think it was important to debate some things. Is it true that I must overcome my feelings? My wife came home with a bouquet of flowers she immediately put in a vase, and I realized this wasn't true after a week. She stated Ivan gave it to her, nothing noteworthy. The man said he bought 6 furry colleagues. Oh, and he works. It was her birthday. He thought it would be nice to get me some because he sees how hard I work. She was trying to seem like a schoolgirl who didn't know when someone liked her, so my head started heating up. I asked her directly if she thought Ivan liked her. She thought the flowers were a nice gesture, but once he asked her out, she realized. I was perplexed since men don't give flowers to rejected girls. Even out of friendship, even though she was married. He may have been trying to slip beneath her garments and edit off the romantic aspects. He was now finding it easy to approach. I knew he wouldn't stop soon. I was right, my wife came home 2 days late. I assumed she was nearly 2 hours late since she didn't tell me. Since this wasn't her first late night, she gave it extra time after 2 unanswered calls. She got home before I could make a third call. And it was cheerful. You won't think I enjoyed the evening. She mentioned this first before rambling about how she showed Ivan the museum. As he had never had American pizza, and had only seen it. Movie characters request a slice. After that, they ate pizza and other boring stuff while walking and talking, but I let her finish. I asked her whether she felt connected to Ivan afterward. She seemed startled and irritated, saying I was the only one she was drawn to that way. But she wasn't. She stated she was only trying to meet a stranger in a distant country with no friends or family to show him around and answer his questions. Nothing truly happened. Persuade me. Thus I told her to break up with Ivan up front. Yes, a massive fight ensued. She said it was insecure, nothing was fair, it should stop feeling threatened, and other silly things, which was anticipated. Despite being upset, I kept my cool. But I persisted and told her to stop having extracurriculars with Ivan. His customer status warranted a visit to her cafe. After then, it wasn't meant to continue. I asked her to imagine being in my situation if a Serbian girl bought a bracelet and took her for town walks and such. I think we all know she lied about me understanding. Long story short, I slept on the couch. Though no one is shocked, not hearing about Ivan and his problems helped my mental health. Again, I knew she would talk to him in her cafe, but there was only so much that could happen. I was convinced nothing was wrong because she left for home at her normal time every night. When my wife wasn't there and I randomly entered her cafe, I became suspicious. Not having Ivan there didn't matter since I couldn't be sure he would have been there at that point. However, her absence was significant since it was unusual. I debated making a big deal, waiting for her, or asking one of her staff members where she went. As I got ready, I saw her and Ivan strolling with their arms crossed. Returned to my car. I stayed in the car, saw them enter the cafe, and drove away despite my want to go across the street, beat the guy, and shout at her. That happened yesterday, and I hated thinking about it. I wanted to confront her when she got home, but I think knowing something others don't gives you strength. It will help me spot other lies. When I questioned her about her day after coming home, she provided a simple summary without mentioning any travels. I'm here because Ivan's missing. Is it best to contact her directly or obtain more information first? Given my situation, I tend towards the latter. Beginning to suspect something is wrong with me, and I think confronting her may help reveal the truth. Tell me your ideas. Update 1. I'm the one from the cafe post about the Serbian man and his wife. I returned with major improvements. Let's talk about what I learned. It took me time to get bold. I ultimately decided to pay whatever amount to find the truth, despite never smiling at the notion of looking. Via your partner's phone, I had to set aside my moral misgivings and proceed. I took advantage of her slumber to do it. Naturally, she had Ivan on her messaging app and frequently contacted him. WhatsApp made exporting the full conversation to a text file easy. I transmitted from her phone to mine. I carefully removed the evidence. Her collection had a few public images of them smiling, but nothing really damaging. I also sent them to my phone. Again, evidence was erased. After 5 minutes, I put her phone back. Then I read. Everything on my phone was less suspect if you woke up suddenly. My gosh, what I saw puzzled me. A transcript of the talk may offend you as much as it did me. It happened after they discussed a book my wife recommended. Call my wife Clarice instead of her true name. Clarice, the main character, resembled us. I had the same thought. He wrote to the gorgeous girl who couldn't choose between him, her lover, and the enormous, intriguing man. In numerous seductive situations. This reminds me of us in particular section. I agree that sex is great even with a husband. A dumb chuckle emoji followed. Clarice's laughing emojis. Yes, and I think that's what makes it fun. It seems wrong. Despite never cheating, I don't regret it. It's wrong. So it's hot. Yes, and I pray this never ends. It drove me insane. 2 in the morning. I left home to stroll since I couldn't stay behind her. I would have done extreme things. It was nearly certain. It felt like I spent 5 hours aimlessly traversing the town, yet it was only 3 morning I returned. She was still sleeping. Can you imagine being unfaithfully cheated on, and your partner laughing at you, and doing all the work behind your back? She was what pushed me over the brink. It wasn't like lying would be forgotten. She wasn't awake when I returned. I then took her phone, skipped to that instant in her discussion with Ivan, and videotaped it. I had to stress that this was not doctoring. Clarice clearly believed she was living a silly dream. Novels. But it was inhumane that I had to endure them. She has no idea I know. Divorce negotiations intensify up. There's no other option. I must also see her fall. Ivan must fall for me. I need to hurt them both, but I don't know how. Update 2. The completed product was stunning. This finishes the story of Serbian Ivan and his scholarly, treacherous, cheating wife Clarice. They had no idea they should have cared more about me during this whole situation. Let me skip the uninteresting bits of the story. I parked my Uber across the street as Clarice departed for work. I observed the extreme, visible moment the process server presented her divorce papers at the cafe. I was happy, so we drove away. I worked, had a good day, and was glad Clarice didn't leave a message or call. She knew she had been tricked, and that pleading would not help. It seemed that way to me. She returned that night, weeping. Not that her nose drips. She looked totally messed up. Seeing her in that way made me sad, but I attributed it to the remaining love. It was short-lived. She persisted in asking what went wrong. Was that Ivan? I realized she had no idea how much I knew. Even if she had leaks in her operation before she couldn't find out what I knew, she tried. Finally, I promised her, unsure if I should tell her about Ivan. I just told her that I had seen her and was keeping it in that day as we were walking arm in arm. She got aggressive and started calling me names and pleading half the time. It was hardly grounds for divorce, she argued. Wrong to keep seeing him. No interaction occurred between them due of my insecurity. I was envious. She appeared confused whether to bow or anger me.
Down. She left my house after I told her. The true divorce begins then. I enjoyed that part. I paid more for superior legal representation since I am richer than her and stand to lose a lot in a divorce. Be sure to get a good divorce lawyer. I can promise you that it will be worth it since after raising my concerns, I got multiple images of the pair and text conversations proving their adultery. My brilliant attorney also found transactions in her alleged Ivan joint account. A few transactions matched the transcript of the whole text exchange in which he thanked her for particular things. We saw that she was spending our money on her Serbian lover guy. I liked the lawyer's gold digger portrayal, he did well. She fought hard, but I couldn't uncover anything outstanding. I'm not flawless, but my flaws shouldn't get me divorced. I had most of my needs by divorce. I kept my car and house. Because of my high-profile romance and investment in her firm, I was not asked for alimony. Love you, Judge. She kept the car I gave her. That didn't seem important. It was easier to accept my divorce settlement since she didn't leave empty-handed. This is my current fave. Getting revenge on Ivan was hard. It was hard. However, one day he left the cafe. I followed him around the corner and down the street. I got his attention, introduced myself, and punched him in the jaw. He looked shocked as I hit him in the lip and knocked him down. It stung terribly. I wouldn't have sought a street fight, but I would have accepted one. He stood up and left, suggesting he saw he had no moral high ground on this one. Very satisfying. His affair was known, so I wish I could have done more. But that was enough for me, and probably the best I could have done short of filing a criminal complaint. Clarice went. Know about the rent I paid for her? It was due again. Her cafe was in a good neighborhood, so it was expensive this time. She called me at the end of May, crying, saying she needed money to pay the cafe's rent, but didn't have it. She screamed and begged, but I suggested she sell the car to pay for it. She called numerous times that week, but I didn't respond. Warning, spoilers. I discovered she sold the car when she called to yell at me. At least she said it was evil that I couldn't assist her. I told her it was terrible to enjoy cheating on me. She had no reply. I'll find out how she handles rent in May next year. If the gods let it, she'll lose the cafe too, especially without my bookkeeper. Great experience. Recently single, I'm happy and prosperous. Divorce, betrayal, and infidelity hurt, but you must go on, right? That's my strategy. Your support, guidance, and presence are much appreciated. That's really appreciated. I hope this is my last post. See you later.